Rough weekend in New York as the St. Louis Cardinals get out-hit, out-pitched, and swept by the New York Mets. But why is everyone shocked by this outcome? This is Locked on Cardinals.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked on Cardinals, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, and you can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on anything. We are like within 100 subscribers of 12,000 subscribers total, which is incredible to me. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate that, as we're almost to that 12,000, which is awesome. Also available on TikTok and Instagram at Locked on Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Happy Easter to everybody. I hope you had a chance to enjoy some good, solid family time on Sunday. Happy WrestleMania finale. Got done watching that, and now we're on to the podcast here today. And I hope whatever you did on Sunday was a better experience than how things went for the Cardinals over the last 4 days in New York, where they lost 4 in a row to the Mets after falling on Sunday by a score of 7-4. You know, after their 4-2 homestand, where they won series against teams that are better than them on paper, right? Phillies, Astros. People were excited about it. I was excited about it. We like winning. Of course we like winning. That's cool. It's fun. But the boys came crashing back to earth in New York, where they were, just to be blatantly honest, beat by a better team. And I know it's the easy thing to do is, point at the payrolls, whine about how the Mets are spending all this money and the Cardinals aren't doing that right now. But that's really just an excuse, isn't it? The truth is the Mets are a better ball club in every way possible. No matter how they constructed their roster, whether it was drafting and, bringing up prospects, actually putting some stuff together in the minor leagues and making them better players, whether it was going out and buying people through free agency or making trades, whatever it was, whatever they did to construct their roster, they have built a better baseball team in Flushing, New York, than what we have in St. Louis, Missouri right now. And that's how it was going into the series. They've got a better rotation. They've got a better bullpen. They've got better hitters overall 1 through 9. I'm sure you could pick 1 or 2 guys that are on the Cardinals that would supplant somebody at the bottom of their order, but they've got more star power. They've got more attitude, as they should. So to see the Cardinals lose 4 straight to the Mets, it's not necessarily shocking that it happened. Losing 4 in a row to anyone is not normal. That it's not a difficult thing. It's not, I should say, it is a difficult thing to do, to beat another team 4 times in a row. It just doesn't happen all that often. In fact, this hadn't happened against the Mets since 1986, almost 40 years ago. But that's what happened. So let's just start with Sunday. And this is the thing. It's like, I'm not going to flip out like everybody wants or thinks that I will, because the Cardinals just got swept 4 games in a row by the Mets. I'm not. I mean, they're supposed to do that to the Cardinals, right? The Cardinals are one of these teams that is picked to be one of the bottom tier teams in all of baseball at the end of the season. The Mets are not. The Mets are picked to do quite well. So they're supposed to come out and beat the Cardinals. And when the Cardinals surprise us and beat teams like the Astros and the Phillies, it kind of gives you a little bit of false hope that, okay, maybe we're not as bad as everybody thinks we are. And I don't think we're as bad. I don't think the Cardinals are as bad a team. But the results are the results. So, again, let's start with Sunday, where the Cardinals had their top starter, Sonny Gray, on the mound against Clay Holmes. And the overall numbers for Sonny, they're not bad. 6 innings, 3 hits, or 3 runs, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts against that lineup. That's pretty good. You give a quality start. Not a whole lot more you can ask from a starting pitcher against this Mets lineup, which is really, really good. Now you do get another home run hit off of him. First batter of the game, puts the Birds in a hole right away. The leadoff dinger by Lindor. Pitch was up in the zone. We all know. It's like a broken record. We all know. Sonny Gray can't pitch up in the zone. If he's up in the zone, he's going to get popped. And Lindor popped him right away. First batter of the game. Can't live there. But overall, this was not like some really crappy start from Sonny Gray. It's not like he didn't put up a good fight or give the boys a chance to win. He did. And Sonny has been really good outside of the game against the Angels, where he was pitching really, really well. And then one bad pitch burned him on that grand slam. But last 3 games, 18 innings, 4 earned runs, 14 strikeouts. Hard to complain about those numbers. I mean, you're not going to be like, ooh, he sucks. No, you're not. Like, that's not bad. And that's against, I think the Phillies and the Mets were 2 of those games. So you're all right with that for Sonny. And Sonny remains undefeated. Still hasn't been given a loss yet this year because the Cardinals were able to tie things up in the 7th inning on Sunday. But the bullpen, which was so good last year, couldn't hold the Mets back. Jojo Romero whiffs that first hitter, but gives up and there were, again, I don't want to make excuses, but a couple of soft contact hits there where you're just like, I mean, what do you want me to do? The swinging bunt from Lindor. Like, nobody's prepared for that to happen. Sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. So he gets on base. Nothing you can do about it. Walks Soto in a very non-competitive at bat. Like, Romero didn't want anything to do with him. But that puts a guy in scoring position. So now you got first and second. Ali goes to Maton, who continues to be really good. He gets the strike out of Alonso. Huge, right? And you're like, oh, maybe we can get out of this. But the lefty, Brandon Nimmo, who had 2 big plays in this game, finds a hole on the ground ball up the middle. And it was kind of funny because it seems like it always happens this way, right? Like where the pitcher, ball comes back up the middle, and if he goes for it, he deflects it, where the fielder who would have been behind him would have made the play very easily, right? So this time, Maton kind of moves his glove towards the ball, and then at the last second, it's like, nope, I don't want to hit it, and it still finds hole. So I'm not sure if he could have actually knocked it down. Maybe he could have, but doesn't matter. Curveball was up in the zone too much, found some space, gets into the outfield, makes it 4-3. Then the Ryan Fernandez experience continued with the Cardinals still down, just 1 out. He gets some tough luck right away when Luis Angel Acuna hits an infield double. That's right. I didn't just make that up. Infield double. A play that you do not see very often. He hits a slow chopper over to the left side of the infield towards the hole between short and third. Nolan Gorman playing third base today instead of Arenado, who had a scheduled day off. Gives it the do-or-die bare-hand attempt that we see Arenado pull off so effortlessly all the time, and we take it for granted that, no big deal, easy play. It's not an easy play. And it gets under Gorman's hand and goes past him, but also at the same time, Thomas Saggese, who's playing shortstop, he's coming in at the same time, and he fails to kind of slow down to keep the ball on the infield to knock it down. So it gets by Gorman. It gets by Saggese, and Acuna has excellent speed, and he gets a double on a ground ball that just rolled through the infield into the outfield grass. He hit the ball 3 feet. That's 3 feet and got a double. That's silly stuff. He then whiffs Beatty. Fernandez does, whiffs Beatty. And then he ends up sawing off Tyrone Taylor. But when things aren't going your way, crap like this happens. This is baseball. It gets over the head of Burleson by like a foot maybe? Like wasn't hit hard. Bloop double. Whopping 56.7 miles per hour off the bat to make it 5-3. And then it snowballs from there. He walks the number 9 hitter on 4 straight pitches, which is a huge no-no because guess what? On the other side of that number 9 hitter is 3 of the best hitters on the planet. Gets Lindor to ground out sharply to shortstop. Nice play by Saggese. Gets the out of second base, but that brings up Soto, and Soto's going to win those battles against Ryan Fernandez. Smokes a hanging slider into the gap into left center. That makes it 7-3, and basically it's over, right? Part of me, a very small part of me, but part of me does feel a little bit bad for Fernandez because he made some good pitches in this outing. He really did. First 2 hits against him, not hit hard, just well placed, Bummer placement, But he compounds the issue with a walk to the number 9 hitter, and then Soto burns him. Fernandez's ERA is now at 11.25. It is terrible. And in this series against the Mets, he got tagged for 4 runs on 4 hits, had 1 strikeout in 1 inning of work. And this was a guy who, remember, coming into spring training and even coming out of spring training, you're thinking that this is going to be one of the solid guys that you can trust at the back end of your bullpen for situations just like Sunday, where you're trying to hang on to a lead here and you're trying to keep it as close as possible, keep it within a run so that, you still have a pretty decent chance of tying this up or maybe taking the lead. But so far, it just has not worked out for Ryan Fernandez. And my biggest concern about this is the lack of strikeouts. Last year, 71 Ks in 66 2/3 innings. Nothing crazy, but solid, right? This year, he's got 5 in 10 appearances. He's allowed 14 hits in just 8 innings of work, and opponents are earning .378 against him. He's just not missing bats. Not like he did last year when he was the Rule 5 pick and you had to keep him on the roster. Now, that's no longer the case. And I wonder how much runway, since that's the cool term we're using now, they're going to give Fernandez before it's like, all right, well, let's get him right. Let's send him down and get him right at Memphis and bring somebody else up like, I don't know, like a Riley O'Brien or something, just somebody else to step in and see what they can do until Fernandez can get right, because clearly he's not, and the numbers are showing that. But the Cardinals pitching overall wasn't really the big issue in the series. I know I talk about it today because, they ended up scoring 7 runs, but it really was the lack of hitting by this offense over this 4-game series that was really the shocking part of it all. And we're going to dive into those numbers next because I don't think the blame is completely on just the St. Louis Cardinals hitters. So we'll get into it next on Locked on Cardinals. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Now, Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries. We're talking about IT, we're talking about AI, web development, marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or you're looking for a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. And if you need help with, let's say, a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. And posting a job is free. It's simple and within a day with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Thanks for making Locked on Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. Before we start bashing the Cardinals offense, which is, it's the easy thing to do. It's the kind of lazy thing to do. They didn't score. They must suck. They must not be very good at their jobs. Everything that Brant Brown and this team has accomplished over the first few weeks must be a mirage. Must have been a magic trick. They're terrible. And the trolls are starting to talk smack. And you're going to see it on the message boards and in the comments. And if you're a fan, just ignore it. They've been, because these guys and gals, I'm sure too, they've been doing this online the whole series. And what my comeback to them is always, and I don't really show them a lot of attention. If you're going to be one of those guys or girls that trolls, I'm not, specifically when you say dumb things, like I'm not going to start a fight, a war of words with you online. It's not going to happen. You're not going to bait me into doing it. But even the biggest of trolls has to acknowledge the fact that before this series began, the Cardinals had been one of the most impressive offenses in baseball. Surprisingly, one of the more impressive offenses in baseball. The stats prove it. You can't tell me that they weren't. You know, they were doing almost everything well. You were seeing the great at-bats. You were seeing clutch hits. You were seeing some home runs. You were watching them take walks, the OBP through the roof, right? It was a thing of beauty because your roster and this lineup is not the most talented roster in Major League Baseball. You don't look at the hitters 1 through 9 and go, that's one of the top 5 hitting teams in baseball, for sure. You don't. But yet there they were, proving everybody wrong and, you know, making us believe in what was going on and what Brant Brown is teaching. And this series, I'm not going to say they took a lot of bad at-bats or anything like that, but you just didn't see the same amount of success. And you saw a lot of strikeouts, and you saw a lot of failures with runners in scoring position, something we were very much used to in 2024. So far this year, it's been a whole lot better. You know, Thursday they lose 4-1. Griffin Canning dominates them. Cardinals go 3 for 30 in the game, 11 strikeouts. They walked 4 times, 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position because they couldn't get anybody in scoring position. Friday, you get the I don't want to say heartbreaking loss. It wasn't heartbreaking, but it was a tough one because Donnie's home run had tied things up late in the 9th, and you just go on to lose it 5-4 right away. They're 8 for 35 in that particular game. 15 strikeouts. They don't walk once. None. 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, he's very good. Saturday, shutout 3-0. They're 3 for 29. 6 more strikeouts, 5 walks, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And then on Sunday, they lose 7-4, 8 for 35 again at the plate, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So I did the math for you, and I'm sure you can double check me because I'm not great at math. I did use a calculator. It's not like I did this on a piece of paper with a pencil. I didn't use a number 2 pencil or a Scantron sheet or anything like that. But my numbers have them as 22 for 129 in the series. That would be a 171 batting average for the series, okay? Obviously, that's awful. 43 strikeouts. They struck out 33% of the time. That is awful. 12 walks, not enough. They go 6 for 27 with runners in scoring position. That's a 222 batting average. Not nearly good enough. In whole, it's horrendous, right? Not only compared to what we've seen so far this year, but just horrendous in general. Anybody who goes out there and does that for 4 games is having a tough time at the plate. And it all starts with your leadoff hitter, Lars Nootbaar. Because when he's going, this offense goes pretty darn good. He's the key cog in the machine at the top of the order. And if he's not the on-base guy that we know he can be, the engine tends to stall for the Cardinals offense. He was 1 for 12 in the series, had 2 walks, didn't get his hit until I think it was his last at bat. So you can see why there was an issue. He wasn't contributing much in the series. Gorman, 1 for 11, 4 strikeouts, looked completely lost against Senga on Saturday. Pages, 1 for 10, 6 strikeouts. Jordan Walker gets robbed of a home run on Sunday, which obviously you saw the frustration with him spiking the helmet. Left fielder Brandon Nimmo, who got the go-ahead RBI single, and then he robs the home run earlier in the game. Those were the 2 big plays on Sunday. But Jordan Walker, 1 for 12, 7 strikeouts. Victor Scott, the second, 1 for 11. Young guys, future pieces of this franchise. So as we warned you before, peaks and valleys. It's going to happen this year. But not much production out of all of those guys. And a lot of them came up in big spots and couldn't get the job done. Couldn't move runners over. Just couldn't put the ball in play. Struck out a lot. And the easy thing, like I said, is to just kind of blame the Cardinals hitters, you know. Overrated. They suck, you know, even though none of you trolls were saying that this was a sucky offense or anything like that until after this weekend. They pick their battles so well, don't they? But let's not forget as well, as much as the Cardinals did struggle, and they did, I'm not letting them off the hook, but there is a guy on the mound for the other team wearing a different uniform, and their job is to get the Cardinal hitters out. They're not just up there throwing BP and soft tossing and hoping for the best. No, they're doing a job as well, though, a job that they're getting paid handsomely to do. The Mets pitching staff, as I mentioned before this series began, is one of the best staffs in baseball. And they're still shorthanded. They still don't have Sean Manaea or Frankie Montas, but they've still got crazy good numbers so far this year. And you can be mad at the Cardinals hitters if you want. I'm not saying you can't be, but you must acknowledge at least the fact that, hey, perhaps the Mets pitching staff pretty darn good as well. It's not like you were going up against some below average pitching staff and that you're like, how are they not hitting these guys? These guys are good. Their starting pitchers allowed just 5 earned runs in the series in 23 innings. 3 of those came off of Peterson on Friday, who struck out 9 in that game. Canning was blowing guys away in that first game. Senga's ERA on the season is 0.79. He hasn't only faced the Cardinals. He's faced some other teams, and they couldn't hit him either. Holmes on Sunday just wanted to run in 6 innings. He's been somebody that they've been talking about. He had like one bad game. I think his first game of the season was kind of, whoa. And everything else has been really, really good. And Ali said after the game that the team Cardinals just have to be better, which is true. But the Mets pitching staff is pretty awesome. And their offense came up with clutch hits time and time again. Well, the Cardinals didn't. The better team won each day. There was never a time where I'm like, the Cardinals are outplaying the Mets today. It never happened in any of the games. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Cardinals just got swept on the road by some inferior team in the league. That they should have walked all over, because that's not what happened. The Mets have the second highest payroll in the league behind the Dodgers. They are built to win now. They have World Series aspirations. The Cardinals are on the other side of the spectrum right now. They have scaled things back financially. They are building for the future. They're trying to get things going better. They're trying to get their development better. And at the same time, trying to remain competitive in the NL Central. A good season for the Cardinals this year, considering everything that they're doing, is 500, which I know sucks, because the goal should be to win a World Series, to be the best, go get the best guys, do the best you can and go. But they need this year to transition. That's what they're doing. So it's 2 teams in 2 very different spots. Since sweeping the Twins in the opening series at home, the Cardinals are 6-13. Do I think they're that bad of a team that they should be 6-13? I do not. But they're 1-9 on the road, and that's really, really bad. I think they're better than what we're seeing. And I know moral victories don't really count for much. People will be like, they were saying that online about the Blues. And people were saying, well, the Blues played pretty good and just kind of ran out of gas at the end of the game. And moral victories are useless. Who cares? Playoffs are a different story. This is regular season of baseball in April still, but it's not like they got blown out every game by the Mets. They were decently competitive games, but still 0-4, right? Still bad. And what we hope is that these kids will use this series, getting swept, taking that nasty sweet pill, and being like, oh, this tastes terrible. And use it as a teaching moment to get better for later on down the road. And, of course, their next series, which will be against the Atlanta Braves. And it wasn't all bad in New York. I know I'm sounding like a Debbie Downer here, and I'm picking things apart, but they lost 4 games in a row. So it's hard to find a lot of good in that. But there were some highlights. There were some good things that did happen in this series, including the Thomas and JC conundrum. I want to get into that coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources, and you get the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need, and it's going to get delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros, and you're looking for an extra edge, why wouldn't you be? Their free Trade Master program, yeah, that's what I said, free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Once again, that's promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So Thomas Saggese has been pretty much everything the Cardinals could have hoped for after calling him up to replace the injured Nolan Gorman. That happened back on April the 4th, and he was going to stick around until Gorman was back, and then I'm sure he's back on the train to Memphis. But 8 days later, Mason Wynn goes down. So Saggese sticks around even further, and the kid's getting it done, man. The results have been tremendous. On Sunday, he's 1 for 5, but hits the game-tying 2-run double in the 7th. He's hitting .400 on the season so far with 1 home run, that mammoth shot in Boston that cleared the stadium. 7 RBIs, and he's doing it all in just 35 at-bats. He's been really good at the plate. He's done, I'm going to say, an admirable job in the field, but we know what Thomas Saggese's strong points are, and it's his offense. That's the best thing about him. So how on earth, people are wondering, is Thomas Saggese hitting .400 going to get sent down to Memphis when Mason Wynn gets activated, probably on Monday? And the answer is simple, and you're not going to like it. The answer is, where is he going to play more? Remember how we talked about all that Victor Scott stuff in the offseason? And we're like, well, if they're not going to use him as a starter every day, then you got to let him go play. Well, they decided that Victor Scott has won the starting center field job, and he was going to play every day. Great. And he's been in there more times than not. The Cardinals have never hidden the fact that they want Nolan Gorman to play. And you can be upset about his production and the strikeouts, and I get it. But they're going to give him a chance to work his way out of it. He's coming back from the hamstring injury. Was hitting the ball pretty good before he got hurt. So it's kind of sucky that he had this hiccup. But they've said it from the beginning that he's not going to be just a bench bat for them like Luken Baker is. He's not going to be a defensive fill-in like Michael Ciani has been. They want him playing almost every day, and they want to know what they got in Nolan Gorman. And if you keep Saggese and demote, say, Ciani, which has been brought up before, you've still created a logjam on the infield where either Gorman or Saggese is going to be on the bench more times than not. And they don't want that. It's not good for the development of the players. Nolan Gorman has got seniority here, and they want this year to be a year where they find out what Nolan Gorman is. Thomas Saggese, they're in no hurry. They like what they see. Obviously, he's getting the job done. But this really kind of all goes back to not being able to trade Nolan Arenado this offseason. If he's not around, then Saggese is probably on this team for good, and he's playing every day, but that's not the case. So, just warning you, be prepared if Thomas Saggese gets sent back to Memphis so he can play every day and be on call for the next injury or the next opening, whatever it may be. Brendan Donovan had another hit on Sunday, and even though that hit streak was snapped with the 0 for 4 on Saturday, 4 hits in the series, including the Cardinals' only home run. He's now batting .356, which still leads the National League last time I checked, and is third in all of baseball behind Aaron Judge at .390. And get ready for it. That's right. Paul Goldschmidt is hitting .361 with the Yankees. He's second in the league in hitting right now. He's only got 1 home run and 7 RBIs, but he's hitting .361. He's enjoying his time in the pinstripes in New York. We all kind of predicted that he's probably going to hit fine when he gets there. But it is what it is. No use in crying over it now. Wilson Contreras, who has been mired in that slump ever since camp broke, 4 for his last 11. Cardinals obviously really need him to come to life finally, because when some of these guys like Nootbaar and Arenado and some of these guys start going cold, these guys who are cold need to start heating up. You got to find that balance there to pick up where the other guys are falling off at. And hopefully we're starting to see Willie turn a corner here. Matthew Liberatore had another encouraging start, although he took the loss on Saturday. 6 2/3 innings, almost got through 7, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, struck out 6. His last 3 starts, he's got strikeout totals of 7, 7, and 6. He's given up 2 earned runs in his last 12 2/3 innings. I hope it keeps going. I like that he seemingly is getting more and more confident and trusting his stuff, and getting right-handers out better. That was the big key. We know he can get out lefties. Can he get out the right-handers? And he's figuring out ways to be better at that. So great progress there. As far as the NL Central goes, the Cardinals are now 9-13. So they're only ahead of the Pirates right now, who are 8-15. The Reds destroyed Baltimore on Sunday, 24-2. They're 11-11. The Brewers crushed the A's 14-1. They're 12-10. And then the Cubs are in first place at 14-10, but they've been playing some really, really tough teams and still have a 14-10 record. Lost to the D-backs in extra innings at Wrigley on Sunday. So Cardinals are 4 games back. Head to Atlanta to face a Braves team that is 8-13. And you see that and you're like, oh, so they're not any good? They had a tough start for sure, but they've won 3 in a row and are 6-2 at home. Cardinals are 1-9 on the road. That doesn't match up very well. Eric Fetty will get the start. He's been pitching very, very well. So hopefully the bats will wake up even more. Won't be easy though. Spencer Schwellenbach, nice young pitcher for the Braves, will be on the mound. So it ain't going to be easy. And, just like this Mets series, you go into it saying, hey, I want to win a game or 2 of this series, but I'm not supposed to. The Braves are a better team on paper and stuff. So we'll see what happens, though. That's why they play the games. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like and subscribe on YouTube to help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. I know, getting close to 12,000 subscribers. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, be a part of the show each and every day. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.